Why do I look up to Nancy Reagan? Well, it just comes down to the fact that I find her very interesting. Even as someone who's not the biggest President Reagan fan, think her devotion to him was admirable. And I want to see those same traits exemplified in, a potential partner, even if I don't personally think I'll ever end up with anyone. My interest in her goes back to when I was in high school. This is around like 2013, 14, when I was first starting to really get into politics as something to research and learn about. And in that time period, Nancy was like 91, 90, right? She was, kind of getting up there and only had a few more years to live. But in the things I would hear about her is, her tenure as an actress and, First Lady of California, and of course the roles that she played in the Reagan presidential campaigns before he ended up becoming president and her first lady, was that you had this very versatile figure who did live a complete life. She had her own independent career, some parents and a background that I think were very interesting. We should, like, I should say her mother Edith is one of the probably most memorable mothers I've seen for a first lady. She was very much um, following in the footsteps of her mother. If you followed the lady, but I thought she had a very interesting background. Her time as an actress was, and being like independent from her husband, was also something I took note of. The influence that she would exercise over President Reagan, or she would call him Ronnie, right, throughout his career. And of course, the last 20 or 30, years of her life where she was her husband's caretaker as his mental facilities broke down, and ultimately someone who did advocate for STEM research. And I look at all of those things, and I maintain that she, even if you're not a conservative, a Republican, like I don't identify as either of those things. What I can respect so much about her was, these different layers to her as a person, and being an actress and then, the political spouse, but never losing those core themes of just, the resilience, right? Like you have this thing where as a kid you're longing for your mother, and then you persevere, and hey, now you have a stepdad who is, you grow so close to that he's kind of like your dad, or is your dad in your mind. And uh this acting career that she, is very involved with trying to see take off the ground. And it's it's really just nice to see a person from that era that was always reinventing themselves and never seeming to lose sight of what they were. And in this modern era, right, where so much of politics is fake and staged and, hallucinogenic, I look at the relationship that she had with President Reagan as one of the last remnants of something that was real when it came to political spouses. Like, I wouldn't say or ever suggest, especially given that they died a few months apart from each other, that the Bushes did not love each other. I wouldn't say that about George W. and Laura. But I look at the Obamas, the Clintons, especially, and the Trumps, and I just can't feel or get the sense of these are people who love each other. And I never have that same level of doubt, or even a shred of doubt, cross my mind about Nancy. Her entire last, or rather, I should say, from the time that she married President Reagan back in the 50s, all the way up until she passed, he was the most important person in her life. And I should say, another thing I liked about her is her memoir. It really spoke to me because a lot of times when people are writing about themselves, they leave out certain things. They try to appear, polished and, well done in terms of just having an image. And I appreciate it so much with My Turn, how she was very open about not having the relationship with her kids that she wanted, about being worried about her husband. And there are people who, to this day, like critique the astrology thing. And I always say, if someone comes close to losing their spouse, which she almost did back in 81, they're probably going to be scarred by it in some way. And I think if you haven't been in that situation, you shouldn't, maybe just have like an open mind in terms of what way a person might react to it, having some legitimacy, even if it's different from yours. But yeah, that's the gist of it. I respect her and look up to her because she is one of the last people involved in politics that I thought was real in terms of their relationships with other people, their candor, the fact that she was involved with things that I truly believe she cared about, like STEM research, and even if I don't think Just Say No was effective, it's still the intention was good, right? Telling people not to use these drugs. And really, what I want for this channel, which I have aptly named after her, is for just to distribute more things relating to her. Whether that's writing stories about her, or, some of the drawings I've done. I just want people to remember one of the, I'd say, most iconic women of the 20th century. I don't think that's too much of a stretch to say. And again, this is about being as fair as possible. And I would say that whether I only get 1 view, 10 view, 100 views, none of that's going to change the fact that Nancy is one of my favorite first ladies. She is one that does deserve to be remembered as really a role model for having hardships and overcoming them. And I want to make sure that I do at least a portion of trying to uphold her legacy. Thank you.